Welcome to Antimicrobial Awareness Fighting Resistance Together. I am Dr. Subhashri Sharma and with me is my co-host Dr. Samiksha Vusal. Today we are diving into a crucial global health issue, World Antimicrobial Awareness Week. How are you doing today, Dr. Vusal?
I'm doing well, Subha. It's great to be here discussing such an important topic. World Antimicrobial Awareness Week is something that everyone should know about given the growing threat of antimicrobial resistance.
Absolutely, Samiksha. Antimicrobial resistance, or AMR, is when microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites evolve to resist the drugs that were once effective against them. This can lead to standard treatments becoming ineffective, infections persisting, and even spreading to others.
Right, AMR is not just a future threat, it's a current global crisis. The World Health Organization has warned that if we don't take action now, by 2050, drug resistant diseases could cause 10 million deaths each year. World Antimicrobial Awareness Week, which takes place annually from November 18th to 24th, is dedicated to raising awareness about this issue.
Let's start by discussing the origins of World Antimicrobial Awareness Week. This campaign was initiated by the World Health Organization to increase global awareness of antimicrobial resistance and to encourage best practices among the general public, health workers, and policymakers to avoid the further emergence and spread of drug resistance infections.
Yes, and it's vital because antimicrobial resistance impacts everyone, young, old, healthy, or ill. Overusing or misusing antibiotics is one of the main drivers of resistance. This includes taking antibiotics when they are not needed, not completing prescribed antibiotic courses, and the use of antibiotics in agriculture to promote growth in healthy animals.
Exactly. The week aims to promote behavioral changes by highlighting how each of us has a role to play. For example, as healthcare professionals, we are responsible for prescribing antibiotics only when necessary and advising patients on the proper use of these medications.
And on a broader scale, World Antimicrobial Awareness Week encourages governments and organizations to implement policies that regulate and monitor the use of antimicrobials, support research into new antibiotics, and strengthen healthcare systems to better manage and prevent infections.
Now, let's break down what antimicrobial resistance actually means. When we talk about resistance, we are referring to the ability of microorganisms like bacteria and viruses to withstand the effects of drugs that were once effective against them.
Yeah, that's right. Microorganisms can develop resistance through a variety of mechanisms. For example, bacteria can acquire resistance genes from other bacteria, or they can mutate in response to the selective pressure of antibiotic use. Once resistance develops, the drugs that were once used to treat infections become ineffective, leading to longer illness, more hospital visits, and a greater risk of death.
And this is particularly concerning for vulnerable populations like newborns, the elderly, and those with weakened immune systems who rely on antibiotics to fight off infections. In some parts of the world, we are already seeing common infections such as urinary tract infections and pneumonia becoming harder to treat because of resistance.
Indeed, and it's not just about bacteria. Viruses, fungi, and parasites are also developing resistance to the drugs designed to treat them. For instance, the emergence of multi-drug resistant tuberculosis and the increasing resistance of HIV to antiretroviral drugs are significant public health challenges.
So, what is the global community doing to combat AMR? The World Health Organization, along with other international organizations, has developed a global action plan on antimicrobial resistance, which outlines a multifaceted approach to tackle this issue.
Yes, this plan includes several key objectives: improving awareness and understanding of AMR through effective communication, education, and training, strengthening knowledge and evidence through surveillance and research, and reducing the incidence of infection through effective sanitation, hygiene, and infection prevention measures.
And importantly, the plan emphasizes the need for sustainable investment in new medicines, diagnostic tools, vaccines, and other interventions. One of the challenges is that pharmaceutical companies have been less inclined to invest in developing new antibiotics because they are less profitable than drugs for chronic conditions.
That's true. However, there's a growing recognition that without new antibiotics and better diagnostics, we could be heading towards a post antibiotic era where minor infection could once again be fatal. That's why international cooperation and public private partnership are crucial.
We have talked a lot about what governments and organizations are doing, but let's discuss what individuals can do to contribute to the fight against AMR.
Great point, Suva. One of the most important things people can do is to use antibiotics responsibly. That means only taking them when prescribed by a healthcare professional and completing the full course of treatment, even if you feel better before it's finished.
Yes, and it's also important not to pressure healthcare providers to prescribe antibiotics for viral infections like the common cold or flu, where they are ineffective. Antibiotics should be reserved for bacterial infections.
Yes, and another key action is practicing good hygiene. Regular hand washing, safe food handling, and staying up to date on vaccination can prevent infections and reduce the need for antibiotics in the first place.
And for those who work in agriculture, following guidelines on the responsible use of antibiotics in animal is essential. Overuse of antibiotics in farming is a significant contributor to the problem of AMR.
Before we wrap up, let's look ahead. Suva, what do you see as the biggest challenges and opportunities in fighting against AMR over the next decade?
The biggest challenge, I think, is ensuring global coordination. AMR does not respect borders, so international cooperation is essential. We also need to continue raising awareness and changing behaviors. On the opportunity side, advancements in technology could play a significant role. New diagnostic tools, for instance, could help us more accurately identify infections and ensure that antibiotics are only used when absolutely necessary.
I agree, and with increased investment in research, we might see breakthroughs in new antibiotics and alternative treatments such as bacteriophages or antimicrobial peptides. Public engagement will also be crucial. If people understand the gravity of AMR and take action, we can make a real difference.
So this has been a really enlightening discussion, Samiksha. World Antimicrobial Awareness Week is a reminder of how important it is to act now to safeguard the future of medicine.
Absolutely, Suva. For our listeners, remember that each of us has a role to play in combating antimicrobial resistance. Educate yourself, spread the word, and practice responsible use of antibiotics.
Thanks for joining us today. Stay tuned for more episodes where we will continue to explore critical public health topics. Until then, take care and stay informed. Bye.